Amber Ribeiro has a question. And before I get to that, I'll just let you guys know. It's been like weeks since you've seen anything from me online. And I got a little sick. I also took some time off, which was very rejuvenating for me. Rejuvenation was taking place. And I'm very happy for that. And I'm digging deep now back again, doing all the women in ministry stuff. This is one of the resources I'm looking at, one of the many. And I'm excited to be able to present that stuff to you whenever it gets done. I have a mountain still. It's like a mountain range studying this thing. But during that same time where I was taking a little bit of time off, part of it was just working, part was time off, part was sick. My wife also got fairly sick, but Sarah Zimmerman, my assistant, she got really ill, like bad. She got dangerously sick with COVID, and you've been praying for her, and I posted for people to pray for her. And just as an update, she is recovering. She's home. She's actually working again now, mostly regular amounts when she can. And it's just a very slow recovery. She got it really bad. It was scary. It was scary. It reminded me of Paul and Epaphroditus, when Paul was like, I left him sick in Miletus, and he was worried that Epaphroditus was going to die. And he said it would have basically broke his heart. He would have had sorrow upon sorrow, he says, which is so interesting how he's like us, because he talks about himself dying, and he goes, man, I want to die. I don't want to die. I just want to be in the presence of the Lord, to be absent from this body. I'd much rather be absent from the body and be present with the Lord. So he saw his own death as gain, right? To live as Christ, to die as gain. But because he was still on the earth, if Epaphroditus died, it was like, oh, that would be sorrow upon sorrow for me. So it would be joy for Epaphroditus. It would be joy for Sarah if she went to be with the Lord. Incredible joy. But man, it would be sorrow upon sorrow for this ministry that depends very much on her help, being that we have basically, I guess we have like 3 employees now. But we have a very small staff. And the greater sorrow even for her husband. And yeah. So grateful that God is restoring her, and thank you for your prayers. And she looks like things are going to continue to improve, and we're praying that does take place. All right, this is number 6. Amber Ribeiro says, my preacher uses the parable of talents to say that we must go out to do work for the Lord. I have chronic illness, and I don't have energy for stuff outside my family. What is this? Does this mean I waste my talents? Okay, so the parable of the talents is meant to be generic intentionally. So in the story, Jesus gives this parable where a man gives talents, which talent here, we should just look at it together. Matthew 25. Let me go to the passage. Okay, I'm just going to read through it really quick. This is just a survey of the parable, and then we'll apply it to your situation. Should you be going out to do like evangelism and stuff, or you're hiding your talent? Matthew 25:14. For it will be like a man going on a journey who called his servants. It's interesting how many, I try not to make this too long, but how many of Jesus's parables involve someone going on a long journey, because ultimately his second coming was going to be delayed, right? Or not, well, delayed from our perspective, right? It's going to be a long time. For it will be like a man going on a journey who called his servants and entrusted to them his property. To one, he gave 5 talents, to another 2, to another 1, to each according to his ability. Okay, this part already people get often very, very confused. Understandably, because in English, the word talent means skill or ability. But this word talent is not an English word. It comes from a foreign language. It refers to a very large amount of money. It's just a very big amount of money. Let's just say it was $500,000, right? And he gives 5 of these $500,000 bills to one guy. He gives 2 to another guy and gives 1 to another. So it's just an amount of money. That's all it is. This is entrusting to them his property, ultimately, which is liquefied, is put into money form. And each of them he gives according to their ability. So he gives them a certain amount of resources to use based on how skillful and how good they are capable of engaging in that. Some people, as Christians, they seem like they have far more opportunity than others to do things for the Lord. Seems like a parallel here. Then he went away. He who had received the 5 talents went at once, so he goes right away and traded with them, and he made 5 talents more. So also, He who had made 2 talents made 2 talents more. So they both double their amount of money. But he who had received the 1 talent went and dug in the ground and hid his master's money, which is like not even putting it in a bank, right? He's like a pirate hiding it in the ground. Now, after a long time, the master of those servants came and settled accounts with them. And he who had received the 5 talents came forward, bringing 5 talents more, saying, Master, you delivered to me 5 talents here. Here, I've made 5 talents more. His master said to them, by the way, just to remind you again, after what? After a long time. Again, this is hidden in these parables, this idea of a very long time between the first and second coming of Christ. His master said to him, well done, good and faithful servant. You've been faithful over a little. I will set you over much. Enter into the joy of your master. Okay, so there's like in this new kingdom that Christ is bringing, we have different responsibilities depending on how we serve the Lord based on what we've been given in this life. And he also, who had 2 talents, came forward saying, Master, you delivered to me 2 talents. Here I've made 2 talents more. His master said to him, well done, good and faithful servant. You've been faithful over a little. I will set you over much. Enter into the joy of your master. Notice he gets the same basic treatment, even though he started with less. The point is he was faithful. God only requires your faithfulness. He also who had received the 1 talent came forward saying, Master, I knew you to be a hard man, reaping where you did not sow and gathering where you scattered no seed. So I was afraid, and I went and hid your talent in the ground. I was afraid of failure, so I quit. That's the formula I hear here. I was afraid of failure, so I quit. Here, you have what is yours. But his master answered him, you wicked and slothful servant, you knew that I reap where I've not sown and gather where I scattered no seed. Then ought you to have invested my money with the bankers? Remember, it was money, it was cash that they gave them effectively, right? And at my coming, I should have received what was my own with interest. It wouldn't have been double, but it would have at least had interest, would have at least been some benefit. So take the talent from him and give it to him who has the 10 talents. For to everyone who has, more will be given, and he will have in abundance. But from the one who has not, even what he has will be taken away. And cast the worthless servant into outer darkness. In that place there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. And this seems to be talking about someone who's simply not saved. So all that to say, the way that you are describing how this verse is used in your life, Amber, your preacher uses the parable of talents to say we must go out to do work for the Lord. I have a chronic illness. I don't have energy for stuff outside my family. Does this mean I waste my talents? No. The idea of talent is this is what you have according to your ability. That's the nature of these talents, of the money that was invested. How do I relate these to my life? We just inevitably think of these as like, what opportunities do I have? What skills do I have? Some people put it into like a cute phrase, time, talents, treasure. You have time on your hands. You have whatever skills you have, actual, real, in English, talents. And you have treasure or whatever money you've got that you can invest. I think that if you invest what energy you have, assuming you're not being lazy, if you invest the energy you have in blessing your family, in blessing those you can, in serving the Lord where you're at, that is you being faithful with the talent, symbolically, metaphorically, the talent you've been given. Now, you can still do stuff. You can minister to people online. You can maybe make ministry happen for your family, for your friends, for your neighbors. And maybe occasionally you can get out and do certain things. But I mean, what do you say to the paraplegic? Like, oh, you're hiding your talent because you're not getting out of the home and witnessing door to door. No. The standard of this parable is faithfulness. So the only question you have to ask is, with whatever ability you have, with whatever money you have, with whatever time you have, are you being faithful to Jesus in those things? The only other thing I'll add to that, Amber, is we should not think outside the home is work for the Lord and inside the home is not. Your family is your first ministry, your household. It starts there. Like, this is ministry for the Lord. And the way that you interact with spouse and friends and kids and loved ones in your home, that is your number one beginning of all your ministry. And the things that happen beyond the home overflow out of that. I shouldn't think of what happens in the home as being something that just takes time away from ministry. I think that's a hurtful thing for us. I hope that some of these things help you, Amber. I hope that my answer has given you some wisdom there.